started prejudice first.
Right.
We created a mountain, and a Caucasus mountain, and we sent all the so-called brothers, white people in that mountain, called them leopards. You know what I'm saying? We started prejudice.
Yeah.
So when it flipped around again, now prejudice on us, that's the balance. We started it, and now flipped on us, now we've experienced it. So we don't have to hate white people for what they did to us, because we did to them first.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying, brother? So now it's time for us to start a balance, you know what I'm saying, and understand that it's the Most High that did all of this for us, to straighten us out, in order that we can rule the world, you follow me, with justice and love. You know what I'm saying? And that Jesus is the one that's going to have the rod of iron, not us.
Right. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Okay. So chapter 8, a vision of the abominations in Jerusalem. Alright, and we getting close, we're getting to chapter 10 and then we out of here. But it's real important that I hit you over the head with this Ezekiel. Same thing as Jeremiah. You understand? Same thing as Revelations. Alright, so in chapter 8, the vision of the abominations in Jerusalem. So it says, and it came to pass in the 6th year, in the 6th month, okay, in the 5th day of the month, that I sat in my house, and the elders of Judah sat before me, okay, that the hand of Hawa fell there upon me. Okay, this is Ezekiel's second vision, okay, or rather series of visions, and would take place in the 6th year, referring to his 6th year of captivity, which was approximately 5 years before the destruction of Judah and Jerusalem. This prophecy closes at chapter 11. Okay, so verse 2, it says, then I beheld, and lo, a likeness as appearance of fire, from the appearance of his loins, even downward fire from his loins, even upward, as the appearance of brightness, as of color of amber. Okay, so the fiery appearance that Ezekiel saw had the likeness of a man. Okay, he was Hawa, the God of Israel, and was accompanied by the glory. Okay, and it was who spoke in vision of the prophet. Okay, so 3, and he put forth the form of a hand and took me by a lock of my head. You hear that? So this is Ezekiel. Alright, so now it's even giving you a description of Ezekiel. He said he took me by a lock of my head, so it's letting you know how Ezekiel looked. Ezekiel had locks, hair locks, man, like you and me. Okay, so that's letting you know, okay, this prophet Ezekiel, what was he? Alright, and he go over there in 3 again. He said, and he put forth the form of a hand and took me by a lock of my head. And the Spirit lifted me up between the earth and the heaven, and brought me in the vision of Hawa to Jerusalem, to the door of the inner gate that looks toward the north, where was the seat of the image of jealousy, which provokes to jealousy. Okay, all of this was in a vision. Okay, the image of jealousy was probably the Asherah, which was set up close to the brazen altar. The idol was upon the pedestal, wounding with jealousy the love that shone forth in the glory of the wall. Okay, so the phrase provokes to jealousy pertains to Exodus 34, 12 and 14. Okay, hold up 1 second. Okay, Exodus 34. Take heed to thyself, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land whither thou goest, lest it be for a snare in the midst of thee. But ye shall destroy their altars, break their images, and cut down their groves. Okay? For thou shalt worship no other God, for Hawa, whose name is jealous, is a jealous Hawa, is a jealous God. Okay? So, when you go back to Ezekiel, slow roll, baby. So when you get back to Ezekiel, and where we at, chapter 8, okay? Okay, so what we're talking about is provokes to jealousy. Okay, so when it talks about to the door of the inner gate that looks toward the north, there was a seat of image of jealousy which provokes to jealousy. Okay. So, and behold, the glory of the wall of Israel was there according to the vision that I saw in plain. So the Holy Spirit is careful to emphasize that it is the glory of the God of the wall, of Israel, the glory of the wall of Israel, which they have forsaken, okay, for this stone idol. Okay, the worship of idol and images. So when you get down to verse 5, so then said unto me, Son of man, lift up thine eyes, now the way toward the north. So I lifted up my eyes, and the way toward the north. The north. Who is the north? Who is the north? Okay, because north is where all the jealousy comes from. Okay, north is where the altar of the image of jealousy. Okay, so they try to create a duality, because these jealousies, now when we go back to Genesis, we talk about who is jealous of Shem. Alright, but the thing is that Japhet was destroyed. Japhet being destroyed, okay, by the synagogue of Satan. So when you talk about Japhet being enlarging Japhet, and like I said, I think it's from the dry bones. When Hawa, our creator, put a spirit into the bones that was in the desert, in the valley, the dry bones, me personally, I think that's how he enlarged Japhet. But this spirit was from a fallen angel spirit. Okay, and so now to this day, they're making a mockery, okay, with all their idol worships and their worshiping of these different gods, right? Stagnant gods, however you say it. That the Ashkenazi so-called Jews, that this is the synagogue of Satan, who's corrupted the seed of Japhet. Okay, it's not the seed of Japhet, it's who corrupted the seed of Japhet, in return corrupting the seed of Yasharallah. Okay, because remember the fall of Jerusalem, the fall of Judah, and the Israel had corrupted their seed with Japhet and with Ham. So therefore, when you're coming back into the kingdom, you have Idumea, okay, and which took over one of the 11 tetrachiefs of Judea. Okay, so who you see now is the so-called Khazarian Jews, the Sephardic, Sephardic Jews.
According to the Bible record, Japheth's descendants settled north of the descendants of Shem and Ham. But we can locate them specifically by researching the names of Japheth's sons. And there is one son in particular who we must focus on, because it is his descendants who are described as that mighty military force that will attack the Most High's people. His name? Magog. And what does his name mean? Let's consider some of the meanings of his name using the ancient Aramaic language. Afterwards, we will discover his location as recorded on vintage maps. There are various terms in the scriptures that identify, or make reference to, the north. One such word is a proper noun. The name is Magog. According to ancient reference sources, the name Magog also means north. In fact, the Aramaic lexicon identifies the name Magog to be that of the second son of Japheth, and the progenitor of several tribes that are located to the north of Shem's territories. The Aramaic lexicon also identifies Magog to be the land of Gog. It is located in the mountainous regions between Cappadocia and Media, and is identified to be the habitation of Magog, son of Japheth. On today's modern maps, this location can be found on what is today called the European or Eurasian continent. But let's take a look at some vintage maps for clarification. This rare, antique, 1687 Samson Rossi map of Greater Asia features Asia as the major landmass. Due north of the map displays Moscovia and Moscow. However, today, what was then called Moscovia is renamed Russia. Immediately south-southwest of Moscovia are the mountainous regions of Europa. Today, Greater Asia has been renamed Europe or Eurasia. But the most telling aspect of this detailed continental graphic are the regions that are charted north-northeast. Those territories show the historical boundaries of Japheth's son, Magog, the land of Gog. However, those territories are now part of Russia. But even before it became known as Russia, those regions were called Khazaria. So let's consider later maps and note the name changes of land masses and regions in the north, as time has passed. Those name changes are crucial for us to know, because they allow us to follow the descendants of Magog as they have made their way through the generations, down to our present day. Following their historical progression will help shed light on important points of biblical prophecy that have been kept hidden, deliberately, for a sinister purpose. One key fact that has been kept hidden is the presence of Magog in ancient Rome, during the time of King Herod's reign of Judea. But if you don't know that Magog's territories were renamed Khazaria, and that the descendants of Magog, who peopled that region, were also called Khazarians, then you will miss Magog's presence and influence in ancient Rome, and you will also miss his current role on the world stage today.
Lifted up my eyes the way toward the north, and behold, northward at the gate of the altar the image of jealousy in the entry. Okay, the image of jealousy in the entry. So some of the religious leaders of Judah had placed this idol at the gate of the altar. This was a brazen altar where the temple sacrifices were supposed to be offered for the sins of the people, typifying Calvary. How many idols presently have we added to the cross? Humanistic psychology is definitely one. In any way other than Jesus Christ, all right, and him crucified must also be construed as an idol. Okay, so anything other than the Hamashiach, all right, the Hamashiach, all right, Yahusha, Hameshiach, who you call Jesus Christ, and him being crucified, okay. So any other than that must be construed as an idol, okay? As an idol. Understand that. All right, because real Hebrews are waiting for the second coming, all right? The second coming of our Hameshiach, of our Father, of our people. Okay, so when you get down to 10, when you get down to 10, it says, so I went in and saw, and behold, every form of creeping things, and abominable beasts, and all the idols of the house of Israel were trained upon the wall round about. Okay, so we breaking down what actually the sins and abominations of Israel. Okay, so this was during the time of the reign of Zedekiah, when he was endeavoring to bring about an alliance between himself and Pharaoh, okay, to impress the Egyptians. He had allowed their worship to be brought into the temple, which is described by the Holy Spirit as creeping things and abominable beasts. Okay, so the leader, king, worshiped idols. Okay, so in 11 it said, there stood before them 70 men of ancient of the house of Israel, and in the midst of them stood Jazaniah, the son of Shaphan, with every man his censer in his hand, and a thick cloud of incense went up. Okay, so in this chamber, okay, of Egyptian idolatry, in the very temple itself, stood all the 70 members of the Hebrew synod, worshiping the loathsome reptiles portrayed on the walls. Okay, the deep pain of this scene is sharpened by the presence of Jazaniah. His father, Shaphan, had taken part in the godly reformation of Josiah, 2 Kings chapter 22. And two of his brothers were friendly to Jeremiah. Okay, Jeremiah 26 and 24. So in 12 it said, then he said unto me, son of man, have you seen what the ancients of the house of Israel do in the dark? Every man in the chambers of his imagery. For they say, the Lord see us not. Okay, Hawa see us not. Hawa has forsaken the earth. Okay, men deny a future judgment. Okay, they deny a future judgment. That's what this means. Men deny a future judgment. Okay, and claim that Hawa, if he exists at all, takes no active part in the affairs of man. They are terribly wrong on both counts, as was Judah of old. Okay, wrong. So in 13 it says, he said also unto me, turn thee yet again, and you shall see greater abominations that they do. So the degree of evil will now increase, as all evil must increase unless rooted out by the Hamashiach, by your Christ. Okay, so you got in verse 14, you got women weeping over these idol gods, Tammuz. You got men worshiping the sun in verse 16. Okay, so he said, and he brought me into the inner court of Hawa's house, and behold, at the door of the temple of Hawa, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men with their backs toward the temple of Hawa, and their faces toward the east. Okay, and their faces toward the east, and they worship the sun toward the east. Okay, so the final and most appalling form of idolatry and abomination was that of the high priest and the chiefs of the 24 courses. Okay, the 24 courses of Aaron standing in the holy place in the temple with their backs to the most holy place, worshiping the sun. Okay, the sun worship here is to have had a Persian character. Okay, as being offered to the sun itself as a solar god. Of such worship, traces are found in Deuteronomy 4 and 19. Okay, in 17 and 3, Job 31 and 6, and 2 Kings 23. Okay, it was expressly forbidden. So when we go to Deuteronomy 4 and 19, let's check it out. Okay, it says, unless thou lift up thine eyes into heaven, and when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the host of heaven, shouldest be driven to worship them and serve them. which the Lord thy God have divided into all nations under the whole heaven. Okay? But the Lord, Hawah, have taken you and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Egypt, to be unto him a people of inheritance. Okay, as ye are this day. Okay, so it's telling you about the people of Egypt. They worship the sun, the moon, and the stars. Okay?
You want to read? So
Yeah, read that. Yeah, Gideon. Read the Gideon.
Start Joshua chapter 9 and 1. And it came to pass, when all the kings which were on this side of Jordan, or Yarden, in the hills and in the valleys and in all the coasts of the great sea, over against Lebanon, the Hittite and the Amorites, the Canaanite, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites heard thereof, that they gathered themselves together to fight with Joshua and with Israel with one accord.
So you see they make a difference between the Amorites and the Jebusites. The Amorites, Jerusalem, and the Jebusite Jerusalem. Continue on read, brother.
And when the inhabitants of Gibeon heard that Joshua had done unto Jericho and to Ai, they did work willingly, and went and made as if that they had been ambassadors, and took old sacks upon their asses, and wine bottles, old and rent and bound up, and the old shoes and clouded upon their feet, and the old garments upon them. And all the bread of their provisions were dry and mouldy. And they went to Joshua unto the camp of Gilgal, and said unto him, and to the men of Israel, we be come from a far country. Now therefore make a league with us. And the men of Israel said unto the Hivite, peradventure, yet dwell among us, and how shall we make a league with you? And they said unto Joshua, we are the servants. And Joshua said unto them, who are ye, and from whence come ye? And they said unto him, from a very far country thy servants are become of name of Fa'iyalah.
They lied to him. Keep going. They lied. They're from a far country, but they was right there next to him. Keep going.
For we had heard the fame of him and all that he did in Egypt.
So they saying they believe. They believe. We believe you. Keep going.
And all he did to the two kings of the Amorites that were beyond Yarden, to Sheon king of Heshbon, and to Og king of Bashan, which was at Ashtaroth. Wherefore our elders and all the inhabitants of our country spake to us, saying, take victuals with you for the journey in to go meet them, and say unto them, we are your servants. Therefore now make ye a league with us. This our bread we took hot for our provision out of our houses on the day we came forth to go out unto you. But now, behold, it is dry, and it is mouldy. And these bottles of wine which we filled were new, and beyond they be rent. And these our garments and our shoes are become old by reason of the very long journey. And the man took of their victuals, and asked not counsel at the mouth of Fa'iyalah. And Joshua made peace with them, and made a league with them, to let them live.
So now if they would have asked the Most High would have told them, they lied. But they went on ahead and believed them. Can you read?
And the princes of the congregation swore unto them. And it came to pass at the end of 3 days, after they had made a league with them, that they heard that they were their neighbors, and that they dwell among them. And the children of Israel journeyed, and came unto their cities on the 3rd day. Now their cities were Gibeon, Chephirah, Bethroth, Kirjam, Jearim. And then the children of Israel smote them not, because the princes of the congregation had sworn unto them by Fa'iyalah of Israel, and all the congregation murmured against the princes. And all the princes said unto the congregation, we have sworn unto them by Fa'iyalah of Israel. Now therefore, we may not touch them. This we do to them. We will even let them live, lest wrath be upon us, because of the oath we swear unto them. And the princes said unto them, let them live, but let them be hewers of wood, and drawers of water unto all the congregation, as the princes had promised them. And Joshua called for them, and he spake unto them, saying, wherefore have ye beguiled us, saying, we are very far from you, when ye dwell among us? Now therefore ye are cursed, and there shall none of you be freed from being bondmen. and hewers of the wood, and drawers of the water, for the house of my Allah.
For the house of who?
Of my Allah.
So they were put as servants of the house of God. They were made servants of the house.